Hello everyone, and welcome back to Hidden Korea, the channel where secrets rise from the shadows and truth shines brighter than ever. Tonight, we bring you a story that no one expected, a revelation that's left the entire nation stunned. Breaking midnight news, Zhao Lusi and Leo Wu's secret wedding photos stunned the entire nation. What really happened behind those mysterious photos? How did one of the industry's most admired on-screen duos turn their hidden love into a secret ceremony no one saw coming? Stay tuned, because what we're about to uncover will rewrite everything you thought you knew about them. Let's dive in, right now. It began with a single photo. Grainy, blurred, but powerful enough to stop the internet in its tracks. At exactly 11:47 p.m., Dispatch dropped what they called the midnight bomb. A headline spread like wildfire across every screen. Breaking midnight news, Zhao Lusi and Leo Wu's secret wedding photos stunned the entire nation. The image showed two familiar figures, Zhao Lusi, draped in a simple white dress, face half hidden beneath a silk veil, and Leo Wu, his hand on hers, both surrounded by soft candlelight. No stage, no audience, just a private chapel buried deep in the mountains outside Seoul. For years, they'd been China's most beloved on-screen duo, their chemistry too perfect, their glances too real. Fans joked about wedding bells, but no one believed them. After all, both stars had careers built on mystery and discipline. They were icons, not people. Until now. Within an hour, the servers crashed. Social media drowned in disbelief. Hashtags like Zhao Lusi wedding, Leo Wu bridegroom, and Midnight Miracle trended across 10 countries. Some refused to accept it. Others celebrated it like prophecy fulfilled. But one question echoed louder than the rest. When did this happen, and how did they hide it? The answer, as the night unfolded, was darker than anyone imagined. Sources whispered that the wedding had taken place 3 weeks earlier, under strict secrecy, at a private chapel near Namsan. Only 6 people had attended, no managers, no stylists, no publicists. Phones were banned. The location was sealed off. The staff handpicked from abroad and sworn to silence under a non-disclosure agreement. Yet somehow, someone had captured those photos and leaked them. The photos weren't official. They were stolen. At 1:30 a.m., Dispatch's newsroom received an anonymous email with this subject line, "The truth behind the stars' vows." Inside were 12 high-definition images, the full sequence of the ceremony. Zhao Lusi walking down the aisle. Leo Wu waiting at the altar. A small band playing softly behind them. Their faces weren't posing for the camera, they were simply alive, raw, unguarded, deeply human. It was the moment before fame, before filters. By morning, chaos ruled the entertainment world. Every network scrambled to confirm the news. Agencies denied involvement. Others issued statements that contradicted each other. The public demanded answers, and the silence from both stars made it worse. Then, at noon, a second leak appeared. This time, it wasn't photos. It was a 23-second video, shaky, filmed from behind a door. In it, Zhao Lusi's voice trembled as she whispered, "I've waited my whole life for this moment." And Leo Wu replied, "Then let's live quietly, where they can't find us." The footage spread like wildfire. It wasn't a performance, it was real. Too real. Speculation turned to hysteria. Were they secretly married abroad? Was it an abandoned drama scene misinterpreted by the press? Had someone staged the leak for attention? Every theory collided in the digital chaos. But one truth began to surface from the noise. This was not a wedding meant for the world to see. It was a stolen fragment of something sacred. And whoever leaked it knew exactly what they were doing. Behind the headlines, 2 powerful agencies went to war. Zhao Lusi's management accused Dispatch of violating privacy laws. Leo Wu's team threatened to sue a known traitor within their circle. And deep within Seoul's glittering industry, whispers began to swirl that the leak wasn't random at all. Someone wanted them exposed. Someone who had everything to lose if their secret stayed buried. By the second night, reporters tracked down the chapel, a small, ivy-covered building near the edge of the forest. When they entered, the altar was empty. But a faint trace of white lilies still lingered in the air. A candle had burned down to its wick. Wax hardened on the stone floor. And in the corner, forgotten, lay a single piece of paper torn from a vow book. The ink smudged by tears. But one line still visible. "When the world finds out, remember, we didn't hide out of shame. We hid to protect what's real." The nation froze. Whatever this was, marriage, myth, or message, it had become something bigger than love. It had become truth versus fame. Heart versus empire. And the real story was only just beginning. The second night felt heavier than the first. Seoul was sleepless again, screens flickering in every apartment window. Each one replaying the same 23-second video until the sound of Zhao Lusi's trembling voice echoed through the whole city. I've waited my whole life for this moment. It didn't sound like acting anymore. It sounded like confession. And yet, something about the leak felt too perfect, too precise. It captured a private ceremony so flawlessly. Who stood close enough to hear those whispers? By morning, Dispatch confirmed what fans already suspected. The leak had come from inside the chapel. One of the 6 witnesses had broken their oath. At 8:12 a.m., a new photo appeared online, a close-up of a hand holding a camera, reflected faintly in the glass of a chapel window. He was wearing a black suit, just like one of the groomsmen from the wedding. Within hours, netizens had identified him, a longtime stylist who had worked with Leo Wu for years. But when reporters reached his apartment, he was gone. Vanished. Inside his room, police found an envelope filled with cash, a passport, and a message typed on torn paper. Me. I needed the truth to come out. The entertainment industry exploded. Rumors spread that the stylist had been bribed by a rival studio, one that had lost a major endorsement deal to Zhao Lusi's team months earlier. Others claimed he acted out of guilt. The couple's secret marriage violated their brand contracts. But the truth, as always, was more human. He had been betrayed first. Hidden deep in his emails, investigators found a series of messages sent weeks before the leak. Anonymous threats demanding payment or the photos will go public. Someone had set him up, used him to break open a secret that wasn't his to reveal. By noon, Zhao Lusi's agency finally broke their silence. Their statement was short, deliberate, trembling with emotion. Yes, the photos are real. The wedding was real. What you saw was not meant for the world. We did not hide it for attention, we hid it to protect the people we love. The confession struck like lightning. Fans gasped, cried, argued. But the nation went quiet for the first time in days. Then Leo Wu spoke. He posted a single image on his social media, the torn page from their vow book. Pressed flat under glass. The caption read, "Loving quietly is wrong. Then let the world be loud without us." Within minutes, the post reached 10 million likes. But not everyone was forgiving. Brands cut ties. Networks pulled reruns of their dramas. Machine that once built their fame now turned against them. Same cameras that had captured their beauty now hunted them like prey. In the days that followed, both stars disappeared again. No schedules, no sightings, only silence. But silence has a way of echoing louder than sound. A week later, a photo surfaced from a remote coastal town in southern Korea. It showed 2 people walking barefoot along the beach at sunrise. The woman's hair danced in the wind, the man carried her shoes. Their faces were hidden by the light. But everyone knew who they were. That single image melted the internet. It wasn't a scandal anymore. It was freedom. And as reporters raced to find them, Batch released one final statement, uncharacteristically gentle, almost poetic. Sometimes the truth isn't what destroys us. It sets us free. Months later, when Zhao Lusi finally returned to film a new project, she stood before the press, no longer trembling, no longer hiding. Her voice was steady as she said, "Called it a secret wedding. But the only secret was that it was real." Leo Wu joined her quietly on stage, no words needed. The audience rose in silence. Not to cheer, but to respect. The lights dimmed, the flashbulbs softened. And somewhere beyond the noise, 2 people who had once been prisoners of their own fame finally stepped into the light, together. And as the credits of their story faded into the night, Seoul whispered the same words again and again. They didn't get caught in the dark. They found love there. Time passed, but the echoes of that midnight never truly disappeared. For months, Seoul lived in the shadow of the story, the stolen photos, the vows whispered in candlelight. The betrayal that became redemption. But slowly, noise began to fade, replaced by something quieter, something almost reverent. In the weeks following their disappearance, the tabloids searched endlessly for more. There were claims of secret hideouts, private flights to Jeju, of tears and reconciliation. But no one could find them. Not until one warm evening in June, when a passerby in Busan captured a photo that stopped the country's heart again. It wasn't glamorous. There were no fancy clothes, no guards, no lights. Just two people sitting on a pier, sharing a takeout meal under the amber glow of a street lamp. Lucy laughed, not the polished, rehearsed laugh fans knew, but something raw and childlike. Wu looked at her like someone who had already lost and found her 1,000 times. The photo spread quietly. Most gently this time. People didn't scream or speculate, they just smiled. The chaos had become calm. Few days later, a letter appeared on Zhao Lusi's official page, handwritten, simple, and heartbreakingly honest. As you waited for us to speak. Love isn't a scandal. But the world made it one. We didn't want to lie. We only wanted to protect the small piece of peace we built. You saw that night was not fame. It was the moment two hearts refused to let the world decide how they should beat. If you understand, thank you. If you don't, I forgive you anyway. There was no signature. Only the date, the same as the leaked wedding photos. The message went viral across Asia within hours, but for once, there was no anger. The nation that had once judged them now admired them. The same voices that once shouted scandal now whispered courage. Leo Wu's reply came 2 days later in the form of a short video. No music. No production, just him. By a window as rain fell softly behind him. Called it a secret wedding, he said. But maybe it wasn't secret. Maybe it was sacred. He paused, exhaling deeply before finishing. Took our privacy. But they couldn't take our truth. Thank you for letting us finally live it. And with that, the chapter closed, not with thunder, but with peace. Months later, both stars returned to the screen, not as idols, but as humans who had survived their own myth. Filmed separate projects. Yet their connection lingered, subtle, timeless, unbreakable. On the anniversary of their leaked wedding, fans left white lilies outside studios across Seoul. A quiet gesture that needed no words. Somewhere among them, under the same Seoul moon that had once hidden their vows, Zhao Lusi and Leo Wu walked unseen, free, forgiven, and finally understood. In the end, it wasn't the photos that stunned the nation. It was the truth behind them, that love, real love, doesn't need permission to exist. The night that once divided a nation has now become a legend, not of scandal, but of courage. The stolen photos that once burned across every screen now live only as memories of something real, fragile, and unshakably human. Zhao Lusi and Leo Wu's story began in whispers and ended in silence, the kind of silence that no longer hides, but heals. They taught a restless world something simple, that love, no matter how hidden, doesn't lose its light. It only shines where it's safest. For years, people believed that fame could destroy what was genuine, that behind every beautiful face was a wall too high to climb. But their story proved the opposite. It showed that even under the brightest spotlight, two people could still find a way to meet in the dark, hold hands, and stay unbroken. Now, when the streets of Seoul glow under midnight rain, some still speak of that secret wedding. Not with outrage, but with wonder. Because in that single night, the world saw not celebrities, but two souls daring to love when love was forbidden to exist. Their story no longer belongs to the headlines. It belongs to everyone who has ever loved quietly, has ever held back tears in the name of survival, has ever learned that the truest kind of happiness is the one no one else can define. The cameras moved on. Hashtags disappeared. But their vow, to live quietly where they can't find us, became immortal. And so, under the same stars that once bore witness to their secret, a simple truth remains. Real love doesn't need permission. It just needs to be brave enough to begin. Closing message, from Hidden Korea. Dear viewers, thank you for walking with us through another unforgettable story, a journey not of fame, but of feeling. At Hidden Korea, we don't just tell what happened. Uncover what it meant. Behind every headline is a heartbeat. Behind every photograph is a truth too human to ignore. This story was more than an expose, it was a mirror, reflecting the cost of love in a world that often forgets how to feel. If this story moved you, let it remind you of one thing, even in the darkest corners, the light of truth and tenderness can still survive. So as we close this chapter, remember, not every secret is a sin. Not every silence is shame. And not every love must be loud to be real. Thank you for watching, for feeling, and for believing in the stories that hide between the lights. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind. Never forget, beneath every glittering star in Korea, there's always a heart beating quietly, waiting to be understood.